Okay,
Yes.
we are live, and you are hanging out right now with Lisa Kozich, and I'm the CEO of Crocking Moms, and Cheryl Liew-Chng. How are you doing today?
Hey Lisa, thanks for having me on hanging out with Cheryl and Lisa. It's going to be lots of fun between you and I, lots to talk about.
Yes, yes. And I am so excited to have you here today. And we have so many questions from our moms that we would like to ask you. And again, I just wanted to know, where are you at right now, Cheryl?
Oh well,
Where's your location?
I'm back in Singapore. This season we are celebrating the Lunar New Year, so I'm back home with my family. Yes, you're right. Otherwise, I'll be like somewhere out, out in the world with my teaching, training, and speaking practice.
Yes, that's awesome. That's amazing. And I'm here today. I'm filming in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the snowy weather over here. So we're so glad you guys are all joining us today for our webinar. And we're going to be doing a lot of hangouts. So this is one of our first ones, and we are so thrilled that everyone's here joining us today. We have so many questions for Cheryl. We are so excited that she's here. Now, I'd like to give a little background about Cheryl. She has served in leadership positions in multiple industries and countries. She's transitioned to become an award-winning international speaker, trainer, coach, author, in addition to being the founder of Life Works, a management consulting practice. Cheryl is a recognized authority for women, leadership, personal development. She is an all around amazing woman. And I am so thrilled to be with her today and to introduce you all to Cheryl. So you can meet Cheryl anytime at www.the24hourwoman.com, which guides women in redesigning and transitioning to live the most excellent life possible. Now, Cheryl, can you tell us a little bit about, yourself? I know I just gave an introduction. Can you give us a little bit information about what you're doing right now? What are you in the middle of? There's a rumor of a book.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little
Well,
bit about what
um,
you're doing right now?
I have been working with women and coaching and training them in the last 6 years. And over my, prior to that, I've been working with women, but as part of a larger practice in LifeWorks. But in the last 6 years or so, I've been increasingly working more with women from around the world, looking at work-life issues and then looking at how I can help them in their personal development, in helping them to become a high performer and a woman of impact and influence. And therefore, those are the three key areas that I research in and I speak about and I write about. And of course, my live events, that's what it surrounds about. Yes, you're right. I'm in the midst of launching my brand new book. It's called The 24-Hour Woman. In fact, you would have received a galley copy. I've just actually gotten the first main copies that's being mailed out. It's a practical book because my intention was I've been working with women for the last 6 years, and every time we have a live event or when we have a hangout, women will tell us, "Oh, I can't make it at this event or that event." Women nowadays have a lot more opportunities and they wear a lot more hats in terms of their roles, and they're just busy. So I wanted to create something that is accessible to them, and therefore, for me, a book is both affordable and accessible. And then they can come on and join us on our online events or our live events, where where it suits their season in life and their stage in life. And for that matter, I think there's no need to wait. There's no need to be waiting for permission either, to make your life a better one. Because if you live a happier life, guess who's going to benefit? The people around you are going to benefit. So I'm very glad that, Lisa, we have just confirmed we're going to be launching a live event this year in the US, and it's going to be towards the end of the year. So I'm very excited. A lot of things that's happening. And this particular webinar with you, talking about challenges of professional working women and CEOs and executives, I think it's an ongoing conversation, and I look forward to starting the one that we are thinking of right now.
Yes. Well, that's wonderful. Now, Cheryl, what are some of the beliefs that trap us from being able to live a fulfilled, happy, vibrant life?
You might have, many of us might have heard all this before. And this sort of accumulates into three different myths, if you like. And one of the biggest one is that, oh yeah, sure, she can do all this, she can live such an excellent life because it's always because the other person has all the resources at her disposal, or she has all, she has this support, she has that support. But often we forget, sometimes we are not born with it. A lot of times we creatively design, we put in efforts to be creating those supports that we need, those resources that is needed. And therefore, I think the first piece that we need to recognize is not everybody has all the resources at their disposal at ground zero. They started building those resources, building this connection, building all that support system, if you like. And therefore, she is able to enjoy what she is doing right now, and to be living the kind of life that she wants to be living right now. And so can you. So that's the first myth, if you like, that I like to address. The second is that we all need to have it all. But the biggest question I have around that is, what does having it all mean, to you? That does the definition of having all means the same, thing of having it all for everybody? And as I work with women, I ask them to dig deep within themselves. Having it all has such different definition across different, with different women. But fundamental to it, very often it comes back to family, it comes back to relationships, and it really depends on the person. So I always ask the individual, what's core to you? What does having it all mean to you? What should it bring you, and what brings you that element of living a life that's most excellent? The third belief that we often get trapped in is that we believe in what we see and what we hear and what we have been told while we are growing up. People like to call it the limiting beliefs. Well, I believe my sense of it is that it is because our perspectives are not broad enough, and our perspectives is not synthesized with who we authentically are, and therefore we believe what we see on the media, what we hear about in our growing up years, and what we perceive as living the good life. But when we look deep within us, what does living a good life mean? What does success mean? That should be the one that we should be pursuing. I mean, we have a lot of women who pursued they are high performers in their organizations, jetting, every single day to a different city whatsoever. But core to themselves, that to them is not success. But surely in the eyes of the media and eyes of other people, they are very successful. So I think that's the three key myths that I see that we are going around in circles in. And we are trying to define ourselves based on that. And therefore, very often, at the end of 24 hours, I love to ask this question. At the end of the 24 hours, are you happier, more vibrant, and enthused about the day you just had? Or are you more disappointed, disillusioned, and just, forget, very disheartened at the end of the day with what just happened in the last 24 hours? So,
Wow.
that's usually the point where women start to sit up and take notice and review their thoughts. So I think those are powerful things to review for each and every one of us.
Yes, I agree. These are some very powerful things to review. And now, Cheryl, in the busyness of daily life, what practices would serve us well, myself included, so that we are successful in navigating the work life challenges?
Oh, I love this question. And, when I have so many women who walk up to me and say, Cheryl, you run a full practice, you have 3 kids with your, and with your husband, you're raising these 3 kids, and you do a fair bit of travel, you're writing your book, and then, how do you make it all happen? Um, I would tell you that it's not easy, and it's still work in progress. My eldest boy is hitting his teenage years, so I believe there'll be different challenges coming up. Um,
Yes.
but um, but I think there are 10, and I've actually written it down as an ebook called the 10 Declarations of the 24-Hour Woman. And in that 10, there are three particular ones that I thought I would like to share. And the first is, do not put on a ski jacket for your tropical vacation. And
Oh, I
that
love that.
that's one of the ones that I've often asked, what do you mean by that? And by that it means, depending on what season in life you are at, make sure your expectations is of the right fit. It's like being dressed for the right occasion. Your expectations are and being on the right fit, and being able to gear up appropriately. So it doesn't mean that if you're having a young child, you can't be working full time. But gearing up such that you can work full time, you may be asking for flexibility while bringing up your young child. You might negotiate for a job that's a part time. You might transition to something that you will do on your own as a freelancer, with the aim, and again, having a long term vision. Your legacy, what does it mean? Having the aim that when the child grows up, you will eventually go back to a full time job, or the corporate world, or venturing into your own business. It's always having a longer horizon in perspective. But when you are in a tropical vacation, that means raising a young child while trying to keep on to a job. Gearing up, your ski jacket has to allow you to be able to do all that. Gearing up to be asking for flexibility, a different kind of job, a different kind of role, would be something that you look out for. So that's one of my favorite. Do not wear a ski jacket for your tropical vacation.
Yes,
The
I
Yeah.
love that. I'm going to be using that because that, I mean, it's wonderful. That's a really good way to look at things. I mean, we're so hard on ourselves sometimes, and that's amazing. Now, we often hear, Cheryl, comments. I know I hear it all the time. Being a CEO of my company and with all my fans, um, all the moms are telling me all the time, Lisa, my to-do list is never ending. I mean, never ending. Or I just want to start at the beginning of what's most important. So how might one deal with such situations?
Yes, I wonder whose to-do list is not ever ending at all. But I think, yes, our to-do list is there, and that's been very traditional, right? To do, write down your to-do list and make sure end of the day, try to clear as many items, in a to-do list as possible. My perspective in winning the war on this overwhelm syndrome is to practice a couple of things. One is to, again, going back to the fundamentals, what's most key to you? What's core to you? What must really happen for you to win in life? And your to-do list should be directed to tasks that will help you to achieve those goals. And if it doesn't clear that first check, then you got to ask yourself, should I really be doing this? Could somebody else be doing this? Why am I doing this if it's not adding value to me in my goals, that is fundamentally important for me to have a joyful, fulfilled and happy, end of day. That is it. Wow, what a great use of my time, energy, and effort. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you were to really do that, then the question is, when is the best time to do that? How are you scheduling it? Are you blocking out time to do that which matters most to you? Right? For both of us, we run busy schedules, and yet we block out time to do this hangout because we believe in our mission to inspire and help other women. This is important for us. This is an important hangout for us, and therefore we block
Yeah,
time for it. We could be doing a
yeah,
lot of other things. So block
Yeah.
time for that which is most important to you, so that in your to-do list, the most important things does get that valuable time, effort, and energy from you.
Yes.
The third
Yeah, I
piece,
agree.
yeah, the third piece about dealing with all this overwhelm is looking at things that, even if you look at things that at the end of the day, wow, I really need to do all this, Lisa and Cheryl, then think about the strategies of simplifying. Is there a simpler way to do it? To have the same outcome? Think of ways that you can bundle. And by bundle, it doesn't mean multitasking. There are so many pieces of research out there that shows us multitasking is actually less effective than just focusing
Yeah.
on one task and getting it done. But
Yep.
bundling is about putting together complementing things that you can do at the same time. So, for example, going to the grocery stores, in the meantime, bring your child along, have a conversation, as you go through the aisles, get to know your child, what kind of food, you can teach them numbers, you can teach them nutrition,
Yeah. I love that.
complementing items rather than multitasking, looking at your email and then answering your phone call and doing so many things that actually is not in the same flow, right?
Yep.
I love to do that because particularly with my 8-year-old, I love to do that with him because it's my chance to get to know my young man. Yeah.
Yes, I agree completely. I have a 7-year-old now, and that is one of our best times is when him and I go to dinner or we're going grocery shopping or he's running errands with me because there's no computer, there's no iPad, there's nothing. He's forced to take his little multitasking out and just focus on each other and having real conversations about what's going on in school and like you said, time to teach your child and time to have these deep conversations with them. And that's most important. With us, on the go constantly and running around, it's nice to have that time and focus on some of the important things as well, which
Yes.
are our family,
Yes.
and so your book is amazing. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Now, I know at the beginning of this webinar we talked about your book, but um, can you share a little bit more about it and why this book versus, something else?
Right. Before we get into the book, I wanted to share one other thing about dealing with overwhelm. Something that has worked for me and the women that I've coached is at any time of the day to just have a time out and pause and take stock,
Yeah.
and then be able to integrate back in to say, oh, wow, holy cow, I covered a lot of ground today. It is part of recognizing that all that you have done, and again, that is fulfilling to you and therefore it nourishes you. It becomes a motivator, but it's also giving you a pause that you reflect, and there's a sense of gratitude and appreciation of, wow, how much I have done today and how much it actually helps me in achieving what I want in my longer term goals. I think having a pause in the day, just going out for a walk, and not, but certainly not in the cold that you are right now, but certainly taking time, just a little bit of time out for yourself, that would be most useful
Yeah.
in dealing with the
Yeah.
overwhelm. It's just disrupting that pattern that makes you go just on and on and on. Disrupt that pattern. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
coming back
Yeah.
to my book. Sorry, your question was?
My question was, so why a book? What's going on? Why this topic?
This topic has been very dear to my heart. In my corporate life for almost 20 over years, I've always worked in a workplace where there's a fair amount of women in the workplace, or women who work in very male dominated environment, and they have to cope with work life issues, uh, and I've seen women who decided to either focus solely on their work or focus solely on their family and feels that they have shortchanged themselves. the 24-hour woman is about all of us wearing many hats, and we are daughters to somebody, we are a spouse or partner to somebody, we are a parent to somebody, we are a sister to somebody, we are friends and maybe a boss to somebody. How do we manage all these hats and yet at the end, at the core of it, be fulfilling who we are authentically? That's what, not the 24-hour woman, that's what it's about. And it's about giving tools, strategies, and stories to women from around the world so that they don't feel that they're alone and that they too can thrive in their work and business and live a vibrant life as a 24-hour woman. A book is the simplest thing for me to get this message out, in addition to my live events and my online events and my masterminds. But a book allows me to reach a far more number of people than just those who can come for the events. A book is with somebody for the rest of their lives. If you're like me, I have a whole library of books that's there for the longest time, versus the 7 or 8 or 5 days they have with me. So that's the
Wow.
reason why I thought a book is the way to go.
Okay. That is amazing. Now, what can you tell us a little bit about this book and how can we order this? I mean, is there a website, a link right now for everybody to go on?
Yes, I mean the book carries three different sections. One is really examining what are the shifts that's needed. We are living in a different time right now where technology has and the globalization and just the new sciences have allow us to do a lot more with less. It's also allowed us to be more of a woman of impact and influence than in the past. There's a lot more opportunities right now for women, both in the workplace and in starting up our own businesses. So the first part of the businesses, no, first part of the book, this book talks about those opportunities and how we should be relooking and examining our own thoughts around what, when, and how we should live our lives. Goes right down into what our core beliefs about ourselves and who we are authentically. The second part of the book gives you the strategies and the tools, and I have lots of frameworks in there. And it is interwoven with examples and stories of women who actually use those frameworks, whose life and practices shows that those frameworks, strategies, and tactics work. And that's important for me. I wanted a book that was practical. I wanted a book that is, it's going to be on your table all the time because it's a great reference. And it's a book that you will find in your tote bag and when you go to the gym. And it's a practical book for women. The last part of the book has to do with you and your own story and how you can be part of this movement of the 24-hour woman, to be part of this movement to impact and influence others. Because, whether you like it or not, you are sending a message, you are telling a story. And what kind of story are you telling to your family, in your workplace, to your colleagues, and to the community you're in? So those are different facets of the story. I've got stories of women from around the world and how amazing, they are. They may not be household names, but certainly women of impact and influence in their own way. And I featured them, and it's going to be an ongoing feed to be to be featuring all these stories. With regards to as where you can get the book, Lisa, I leave it to you to announce to our audience right now. Where can we grab this particular book?
Okay, so you can grab this particular book. I know I'm going to be linking the link on my Crockpot Moms page and on your pages as well. And so you could go to bit.ly/ 24-hour Crock Mom. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
just
easy.
bit.ly/ crock 24-hour Crock Moms.
That's easy to remember. The 24 hours, me and Croc Mom is you. Wonderful. So yes, in the
So
book,
it's available,
yes, it's
and there.
available for order right now. And in fact, for this particular book, every time somebody buys the book, they get a 10-week free course from me, a complimentary course, because I believe it's about shifting the way we think, it's about building new practices, and therefore you need to have a little bit of company. You need to have a little bit of a nudge to get you going. And while you're waiting for a shipment of your book to get to you, this course is available to you instantly.
Great. That's awesome. My fans are so excited. They've been asking me over and over again, when is this coming out? I know they were hearing about the webinar, and they were researching you a little bit, and they couldn't wait until the book was coming out. So just go to that link, bit.ly/24-hour Croc Moms. Now, Cheryl, we have actually some questions here from my fans. So, are you available right now for some Q&A with the Crocking
Absolutely.
Moms?
Absolutely. We will answer
Okay,
as many
wonderful.
questions as you have.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, we have Cindy here from California. And hi, Cindy. How are you? I'm so glad that you asked one of our questions today to Cheryl. And Cindy would like to know, how did you start your book? Was it a hard process? She's been writing her own book as well, but she's just writing it on Word and everything. But she wanted to know, was it hard to go out there and start developing your own book?
Well, yeah, writing the book is brand new to me too, and I had help. I've gone through training. My mentor, Brandon Burchard, has written multiple New York Times bestseller, and I follow a certain format and template. But even with that format and template, it has to be your own story, and that's where I got stuck, Cindy. I was stuck with that template for that process for like 6 months. I couldn't write a word, and then I should have known better because I'm not a writer in that sense of sitting down and just writing. I I verbalize my thoughts um, much better and the story comes out from me. So the challenge was, how do we get that story out from me? How do we get that message out from me? So one of my comms person, Mary Agnes, what she did was, let's just interview you and what you have, and that's what we did. We had an outline of the book. We knew I knew what I wanted in the book. She interviewed me, and that's where we got started, so that we can have something to work on rather than just sitting there day after day with a blank sheet, so to say. That's how I got started, and then we begin to refine it. We begin to put thoughts to it, but it's always with, what's my message, what do I want the world to know, how does it serve the women that the book would be reaching. So it's always with that in mind.
Great. That was amazing. Now we have someone here from Florida, Amanda. Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for writing a question for Cheryl today. Amanda is a multitasker. She is starting her own jewelry business, and she's a mother of three. And she wanted to know is, how do you get over the guiltiness? She feels very guilty, going from stay-at-home mom to now going to a business owner, and she feels guilty. She feels guilty that, she wants to be stay-at-home mom, but she also really wants to follow her passion. And she wants to know, how do you feel about it? I mean, you're a mother, and do did you kind of feel that guilt of, going, starting your own business and dedicating that time to the business? And I know earlier we talked about multitasking and juggling our family, but did you have any guilty feelings or feeling upset about it, and maybe a little bit of doubt before you started, your book and your business?
Amanda, thank you for the question. And I think it's a question that many, many, many moms ask themselves. When I had my kids, I was still in the corporate arena. And one of the challenges was, I think when they're younger, it's all right. When they're babies, it's not that bad. But once they become toddlers, once they're aware of you, and that's where the challenge is. So when I first started to go, when I continued to work, and as my youngest one grew, and in fact all the three of them, when they grew up and be toddler, they'll be like, "Mommy, where you going?" And then they'll be clinging and they'll be crying, and yes, it is painful, but I think it's deep within you. Again, you need to discover about yourself, and that's why I love my discovery sessions as part of the 24-hour woman training. Discover about yourself. If at the end of the day you're going to say, "Hey, I stayed home and and you become very resentful being a stay-at-home mom," then that's not going to
Yeah.
do any good for your children either, right? But if you're experimenting, then give yourself a timeline, say 6 months to a year, to say, I will continue to work, and as if it doesn't work out, then I need to make certain decisions. But what I did was that and remember, if they're toddlers, they are not of an age to sort of understand what you're trying to say. But what you can tell them is that mommy's going to be away at work from this time to this time. Within this time, this is what you can be doing. Mommy will be back. I think one of the key thing is to reassure them, because you have been a caregiver to them for so long. You have to reassure them that you will be back and keep to that routine. They need that routine, because to them that is that safety, and that's the piece that would help you manage your child. And the bigger piece is, how do you manage yourself, about feeling guilty while you can hear his cries, or you know that you're not certain if he's going to be left in good hands. We just got to take that first step out. And important thing, while you are at work, focus. Focus on what
Yeah.
you need to be doing, because that's going to be bringing you that rewards. Because if you are half-hearted around it, again, you're not going to get the full benefits of going back to do your work or starting up another business. It's just going to be wasted time. You may as well be back
Yeah.
home with your kid, right? So when you designate, like, for that 4 hours block time, I'm going to be at work, regardless at a corporate arena or in your own business, be there, so that you do and see that movement and the momentum and reap that rewards. And then at the end of 4 hours, that's it, close the door and then head back out to your kid. When I transited from corporate into starting my own business, I literally have to close the door, hang something on the door, and say, "Mom at work, do not disturb."
Yeah.
Yeah. And my youngest then was very young, and he will be coming knocking at the door. He'll be like, "Mom,
Yeah.
mom, open the door." Do not give in. You need to
Yeah.
you need to get them to know. They will be crying, yes. But again,
Yeah.
when you are done with your work, you open the door, you get out, they know that you have time for them.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not easy, Amanda. It's just you got to get that into a practice. What's your experience, Lisa?
Yes. Oh, I am the same exact way. I mean, I have times when I was first starting Croc Moms, we're hitting millions of moms daily, and I actually took my laptop into the bathroom, set an office up, because when you have, I mean, I started this now, it's almost 4 years. So my son's 7, so at the time he was 3. And at 3, it's really hard to explain to a 3-year-old, mommy's working right now, even though I'm home, because he knows I'm a therapist. I mean, at that age, he didn't know I was a therapist. He knew mommy left to go to work.
Mm.
But I think it was also hard for him to realize, hey, mommy's actually working at home too. So for a while, I'm in there too. You're shutting the door. I'm shutting the door in the bathroom, hiding myself from everyone, from my husband, from my child, just making an office space. And I have a powder room. I have a powder room, then a bathroom. I'm in my powder room, just, instead of doing my makeup, clearing a spot for my files and, my computer. And that was the same thing, is just, that whole adjustment that, and it's going to take time, because you have to figure out what your family needs. Every family's different. And, I realized, okay, this is my space. Now I have an office, so they're, kind of understanding a little bit more that, hey, mom is working. Right now, actually, my son is getting a bath, and you haven't heard him at all yet. My husband's helping, and, so they know now, hey, mom's on the computer, mom's either Skyping or reporting. I report on TV as well. I do some guest reporting, and they know when I'm doing these live calls that they'll give me the respect now to, they know not to interrupt. Years before, when he was a toddler, it took some time to adjust, but now my family's used to it, and it's amazing, how I do juggle all of this. And the same way with you. So, you can do it. I have faith. You really got to believe in yourself. You got to have that drive. And like I said, you just have to have, just trying new things and just putting it together and seeing what works. And like you said, taking that moment to say, hey, mommy's working, they'll get used to it.
Yeah,
So, but
we've got
wonderful.
some
Now, I,
we've got some other,
go ahead.
strategies in within the book that actually
Great.
talks a fair bit about going back to work. There's a resource there, and there's a checklist for you to say, if I'm going back to work, what should I be looking out for? So that's the direction of the book, is really to give as much resource as possible. So if you're going back to work, you're going to start a business, what should I look out for? There's a sort of a checklist for you to dive into to help you in that particular process.
Yeah, yeah. Now we have another question here, from Jenny. She's from Kentucky. Jenny from Kentucky, and she's one of our Crockin' Moms fans. And she wants to know what is your personal biggest challenge as a parent, Cheryl, and also running your business. I know we kind of talked a little bit about that, but what's your personal biggest challenge right now?
My biggest challenge has to be, I mean, I've got three boys, but they are 17, 12, and 8. So I have a fairly large age gap. My challenge as a parent is, how do I design activities or bonding time that would fit the interests, and the needs of the three boys. That's of such a wide age gap, like 10 years difference between my eldest and my youngest, and then 5 years in between for the second. How do I design activities such that everybody would be interested and participate? So that has been one of the key pieces. The other would be, when I travel, how do I keep connected with them? So I love technology, and there's always a time that we can Skype. I send postcards home, so that they know what's happening. So it's little things to keep them involved, keep being engaged in their lives. Sometimes when I travel, I have little notes that I will hide in their school bags or in their lunch cases, or if it's in the week, I will hide something in their soccer, the soccer bag, so that the day that they go for soccer practice, they open this, they find something from mom. So it's my challenge is, how do we find innovative way to engage my family and to engage the boys, when I travel, or even when I'm at home. How can we have really very effective block time as a family?
Wow, that's amazing, Carol. I love that idea. With a lot of women, they're traveling, with their businesses, or just traveling with their work, that they're working for, and so we do kind of worry, or you do feel guilty. I'm leaving them, but I love that idea. I think that's so amazing. You're leaving them these little notes and these little gifts, and I'm definitely gonna have to try that out when we're starting to travel the U.S. and the world. What's great is, like you said, technology is amazing now, or
Mm-hmm.
FaceTime or Skype, just to stay connected, because you want to see your kids and you want to be involved, but you're also doing your passion and your dream at the same time. You're juggling
Yes.
your parenting, and you're juggling your job and your dream as well, and you're doing a wonderful job at it. So thank you so much for answering these questions today. And now, is there anything you would like? Oh, wait, I do have one more. I have one more, and her name is from, we have right here, Karen. Karen, and she is from North Carolina. And Karen wanted to know, now your book is called 24 Hour Woman. Is there she wants to know, is there man versus woman issues going on with in the business world? I know she said, do you feel like you're empowering women writing this book? Why wasn't it 24-hour man? And so she wanted to know, even though you wrote it, can you give her a little bit of feedback of,
Yes.
what you're doing, and why is it just towards the women, or can the men, enjoy this too?
Well, Karen, thank you for that question. Very interesting question because it does dwell into my practice in terms in life works where we deal a lot in terms of diversity and inclusion, and gender being one of the topics that I deal with. Essentially, when I decided to write the 24-hour woman, it was to empower and to inspire women to live a full, vibrant life, both in their professional entrepreneur endeavors and in their personal life, because that's the if you like that's the people group that's closest to my heart. Doesn't mean that the man doesn't have the same issues. They probably do. And in the research that we have with regards to work-life issues, does men have work-life issues too? Yes, I mean, the research is showing that yes, they do. But it's just from a traditional sense, um, men tend not to talk so much about that because it's not so acceptable. But increasingly, you're seeing a difference. Increasingly, you're seeing that there are dads who say that I want to work shorter hours because I want to spend time with my young children, or senior executives quitting their jobs to be a stay-home dad for a season. And I think increasingly we will see that because people are realizing that there has to be more to life than just work. And we are trying to figure out how best to navigate those challenges. And that's one of my motivation of writing the book, is to help women to navigate the challenges between work and life issues, and while doing that navigation, be able to live a full, vibrant, and happy life. So yes, the short answer, Karen, to that is that the guys are having the same issues, but the way of dealing with it might be different, and the airtime they have for it might be a little bit less. But I bet as things evolve, we're going to have more and more conversations around how can each individual, men and women, truly live to the highest potential, be a high performer, enjoy what they're doing, and enjoy living.
Yes, that was wonderful. I agree completely, Cheryl. Now, we are here at the end of our questions today from our moms, and we can't wait for the next couple of other ones, episodes we're going to be having with more and more questions. And so, would you like to leave us with some final words of wisdom, Cheryl, before we end our Google Hangout today?
Yes, I would once again repeat what I think I said earlier today. We all have 24 hours. Why is the end of the day, some of us are, we feel the fatigue and we feel the disappointment, we just feel disillusioned, while others at the end of the day are happy, joyful, and fulfilled, and, just telling themselves and their family, what a great day I have today. So I'd like you to consider investing in what matters most.
Yep. I mean, you said it all. I mean, that's what you have to do. What matters most in your life, and when you're doing that, you're living the most fulfilled life ever. I mean, we have to do things that make us feel good and happy, and when we're doing, we're attracting the happiness and good to us. And when we're feeling this way as parents or CEOs, we're providing a service for our the people that are around us too. Because happiness and living life fully, it's contagious.
Yes.
Other people, why are you so happy all the time? Well, let me tell you why. I'm following my dreams. I'm time management. I'm, putting it out there, this passion. And so, Cheryl, thank you so much for, joining us today and being there for our fans. And so, and one more time, we could order the book. It's coming out, and we could get this right now, right?
Yes, you
Right this
can.
second, we can order the book. Okay, wonderful. So everybody, please go to bit.ly bit.ly/ 24-hour Croc Moms, and you can get the book now. What's amazing about getting this book is that Cheryl's so awesome. She is going to give you a 10-week course for free when you order the book. And your book, now this 10-week course, what does that consist of before we leave? That's the coaching and the empowerment as well, right, Cheryl?
Yes, it did. Well, it is accumulated from the research that we have done, and we have funneled it down to the 10 declarations of the 24-hour woman. So every declaration is about practice, is about a way of thinking, it's a way of living, and with that, we hope over 10 weeks to help you to shape towards a better living, a more joyful living, and certainly towards living the life that's most excellent for you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any questions for us before we go?
Well, no, I'll just say this for the community. It's a pleasure to be here. And Lisa, I think uh, when we first coined this webinar, hanging out with Cheryl and Lisa, that's absolutely the right title, because I bet we're going to have a lot more conversation going forward around women, professionals and executives and entrepreneurs and the work-life issues.
Yes, I agree, and I look forward to it. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Bye,
Have a good
everyone.
day. Good night, everyone.